We're just okay and we play some
Movies.
games. We're just okay.
Movie
games.
watchers.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Okay Movies. I'm your host, BIGGIESIZE, and I'm joined by
Gweedo.
Gweedo. I've got an idea for you. I'm going to pitch it to you. I want you to see
I
what you
love
think.
this. I love
Okay.
Biggie pitch ideas.
This one's not a movie. This is a little different. This is like a podcast game show, and I call it PodRoulette. So I was driving down the road, and I was thinking about chat roulette. I was like, that was kind of a fun time when that existed, or I guess it's still around, but like, how can you make a cool game show about it? I came up with this idea. So what happens is you have, I don't know, we'll say 3 podcasts of different types. So you can have like a movie podcast and 2 other different styles, like whatever their topics are. And what happens is they begin starting the show. So, you know, for the movie one, we're like, oh, we're going to be talking about movies today. And then what happens is one of the other pods topics, let's say we have a podcast that's cosmetology. They just talk about doing hair and makeup and shit. And another one that's like, very popular. And another one that, I don't know, is a neo-Nazi podcast.
Yeah.
So what happens is, when we're talking about our movies and then the topic for neo-Nazi podcast shows up, we have to incorporate that into our pod. So then, you know, we're like, okay, movies, neo-Nazi. American History X was such a great movie. You know, it really kind of hit on those topics of, you know, that underground society and how they operate and their thoughts. And it was neat to see, you know, that guy character kind of get out of that and all the ramifications of it. And then we get hit with the other topic that is cosmetology. Like, you know what? I would love to go bald just like them. It's just a nice style. And we have to incorporate all that. And then at the very end, you get to hear all 3 podcasts and pick which one was the best one. Thoughts?
Okay, so we're talking 3 separate total shows here
Yes.
that need to get on board.
Yes.
And then when does the switching of the subject come into play? Dude,
That's a great question. See, the way I picture it is, you know, in chat roulette where you would have your camera and someone else's camera, and then you just, you know, you get paired with them, and usually it's a dude jacking off. Well, you could kind of do that with like a podcast. So you're viewing the podcast, and then the other one pops up. So then you have to take their topic and incorporate it with yours, and vice versa. They got to do the same thing as well. And you have to see, you know, and they keep switching out to other podcasts. You have to just keep it going and make the whole thing as fluent and perfect as possible. So, you know, if you have a pod that would just be fucking up all the time or can't think of something to equate cosmetology with a neo-Nazi pod, then they're going to fuck it up. So ultimately you have to pick which one was the one that did it the most smooth and like it was all planned. And the other people can't know what the other pods are because they have to be on their, you know, keep it on their toes, but still stick with their overall theme.
all right. This sounds impossible.
Yeah,
But
that's
great.
fair.
Good. It's good. Here. Okay, let's workshop this. What if we simplify it a little bit?
Okay.
All right? What if you just take an established podcast and then come up with a wheel of user submitted topics and then spin the wheel every 10 minutes?
Okay, I see.
It's the same premise, except you're losing the competitive element.
Yes. Yeah, I see where you're going. So you would have a wheel, and as you mentioned, it could have user-generated blurbs or whatever. And so they start their pod, and like you spin it once, and it lands on a topic of, I don't know, puppy dogs. So they have to start talking about puppy dogs and make it, then it roll around and you talk about the genocide in Rwanda, and then you have to just keep it going.
What happened with all the puppy dogs? Because there's got to be dogs in Rwanda.
Right.
Like, did a kid just get a puppy dog? Like, there must be a lot of puppy dogs out there without their masters.
Right. And then spin it to where do all the bad bananas go?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you think the dogs eat the bananas? Because they don't have masters to give them food. There's got to be a discarded pile of bananas somewhere.
Right.
Is this what you want?
Yeah, okay. May have to really curate those questions and not come from what can Biggie think of very quickly.
But what do you? So, is this a way to network with other podcasts? I don't. Or
well,
is it...
podcasts are becoming kind of a big thing, and you've got like Twitch rivals and stuff like that going on, where it's all these different Twitch people going against each other. It's fun to watch, and it's like, okay, how could podcasts have something like that? So, some way to compete with each other to see, I don't know, which one is the best podcast, or, and maybe you could have different criteria, like which ones are the most creative, quick on their feet. That's something you're really good at. So, or maybe it's like which ones have the best tonality or sound or topic discussion. I don't know, like just something like that, like some sort of competitive podcast thing. I guess
just
that's where
like
I was
a
going
podcast awards.
Well, yeah, but it's just so boring. It's, of course, it's always going to be the biggest podcast or anything like that. But like, what's a way you could like really get them out of their element? And they, ultimately podcasts are to entertain in some form or fashion, news, comedy, storytelling. It's all about that. So ultimately we're all trying to entertain. So how can you then sit and figure out, all right, which ones are maybe the most dynamic in the way they can entertain, quick to their feet, that kind of thing. I guess that's what was going through my brain when I started thinking about chat roulette. I don't know how I got to that part of it, but I don't know. I thought the idea sounded kind of interesting. But I like your idea of the wheel. That is definitely more doable.
So you just want a competitive aspect to podcasts.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. I don't know.
It is tough. It's very tough. Like, how do you do? I mean, it'd be the same thing with like, talk shows or even TV shows. Like, how do you do it other than just having an award ceremony that you rate it based on some sort of metrics? That's fine, and that's the easiest way of going, and those people who win deserve it. But what's a little more cutthroat way, like to really get into someone, like really put like Joe Rogan and all those people to the test, like get them out of their element, ourselves included?
Yeah. You likened it to Twitch, but Twitch has something going for them called video games that they play.
Those damn video games. I swear, you're totally right. It is a poor example. But it's the only one I can think of.
I think it's got possible legs, but getting shows on board to do that, like, I can't imagine. Even if someone approached me and was like, hey, do you want to compete against another podcast? Actually, I'd probably be down. I think I'd be down.
You would definitely be down. This is right up your alley, because you would just make a farce out of the whole thing, and that would like make your day. It would be great to listen to as well.
Well, set it up.
Okay, I'm gonna get this going. I gotta figure out who I have to reach out to. Get some big names. We can't lose.
No,
we can't lose at this. Oh, anyways, well, Gweedo, what you been watching lately?
Before we started this podcast, I am exactly 1 hour and 16 minutes into Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, nice. Well, give me some of your thoughts at the moment. Like, how you feeling about it?
It's laughable that it's nominated for Best Picture.
See, that's what I'm expecting with it. Like, what's really standing out to you?
The editing is really weird, for one, and it's so cheesy. Everything, it's just so cheesy. And I guess that's, people would argue that that's Queen, is this stylized version of rock and roll, but it's just not, it's not good. And it's okay. It's okay. It's good for fans of Queen, I suppose. But to be marketed as like one of the best movies of the year, it's just so far away from that. And even in terms of a biopic, there's dozens of others that are superb to this one. Like, it's not even that great of a biopic.
Interesting. And if you're wondering why we're watching these, and I'll talk about one here in a moment, we just got the Oscar nominations. It came out, I think, either today or yesterday. It's been not very long. Bohemian Rhapsody is on there. Do you have the list in front of you by chance, Gweedo?
I can pull it up while you stall.
Oh, very good. Bohemian Rhapsody, Black Klansman is on there. Roma.
Yes.
Let's see.
Black Panther. Don't forget about
Black
that
Panther.
one.
Oh, I can't forget about that one.
Vice is on there. A little movie called Green Book, and The Favorite, and also A Star is Born.
And
so those
I know
are the
Guido's
8 movies.
Oh boy. And I know Guido's going through it right now. I just started my venture today. I haven't seen Bohemian yet. That one's coming up soon. But I'm just kind of shocked as well because Bohemian Rhapsody also won Golden Globe, which, I mean, who the fuck cares? It's Golden Globe. But still, I was a little surprised because I knew it would do okay just because of the subject matter, and apparently it's very stylized. But to also get the nomination for Best Picture, I guess it's not too shocking, but it's everything you're saying is kind of making me think that I was thinking the right things. Like, it's just not fitting in that category.
No, it's not. Like, I don't know. Some parts look cool, I guess. And Rami Malek, is that who plays Freddy? I think so. I think that's his name. He does a pretty good job, but at the same time, it's just like the other guys aren't super good, and it's a story that you've seen. You know? And I know it's their story, but it's not really a very standout story. Basically, these guys make a band, and then they rise up the ranks, and then heads swell after they get a certain amount of success, but they still want to stay together because they like each other. That's the story of Queen. And it's something you've seen a billion times in other like band movies or any movie where there's a team involved. You know? Especially when the star player comes out, who's Freddy in this movie, and surpasses the others.
See, Queen just never struck me as an... You know, they had interesting songs, a neat style, and maybe it's just, you know, I didn't grow up then, and maybe it just isn't that impacting. I'm looking at it through, you know, the lens of the past, and I just don't see, as you said, this story isn't necessarily interesting. Nothing weird happened, that far as I could tell. They just, you know, Freddie died because he was a homosexual and died from AIDS. You know, that's sad in itself, but that's kind of the big bookmark of Queen, is they were popular and Freddie Mercury was eccentric and all that. But that was kind of it. You know, it wasn't fascinating as, like, you know, the Beatles is a little more interesting just from how many changes they went through an era from where they started. It just didn't seem like Queen had that kind of that texture as someone like the Beatles or someone had.
Yeah, there's texture there, and they're trying to convey it in the film, but it's just it falls hollow. And I find myself watching it and watching Freddie come to terms with him being gay because he was married before to a woman, and I just want to. There's this one scene early on where they're creating music, their first recording studio, and they're doing all this weird experimental stuff, like putting a bunch of coins on the drum set while they hit them, and putting trash cans over microphones and then singing into the trash can, and doing all sorts of weird experimental stuff. But it's like a montage scene, And then like they don't dive into them doing this anymore, like creating these experimental sounds in their songs. And that is like the one thing I was like, oh, this is interesting, and then it's over. And I wish they would have delved deeper into that.
Interesting. Yeah, that's disappointing. I think that was the one thing I was actually excited to see. So it's just kind of a one and done.
Yeah, the creation of We Will Rock You is just one of the band members is like, I want to get the audience involved. Here, try stamping twice and clapping once. And then it smash cuts to them on stage performing We Will Rock You.
Oh, okay. So it's like, it sounds like the movie progresses very quickly.
Pretty much, yeah. There's long scenes about just Freddie coming to grips with like his life, and his dad didn't love him or something, or expected different of him. And, you know, it's a biopic. It focuses on Freddie.
Let's see. Well, oh boy, I can't wait to watch that one then. No.
It's okay. It's okay. You're not gonna like. It's okay. I'm not disappointed that I'm watching it. I'm more speaking towards my disappointment that it's nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards.
No, it sounds like, I thought maybe there was something there. I mean, all I saw were the trailers, and that was kind of enough where like, okay, I know where this film's going. And like, maybe there's more to it, you know, the fact that it already won an award and it's nominated for a bigger one, you know, maybe there is something there that I just haven't seen yet, but it's sounding like it's what was advertised. And maybe that's okay, you know, but it's sounding like something I'm just going to have to kind of get through, and that's all right. We'll give it a shot. You gotta give it a shot. I saw 2 films today. Well, 1.5. And since we're talking about Oscar films, I am about halfway through a film called Roma.
I'm looking forward to watching it.
It is exactly what it looks like, and that's not a bad thing. If you know anything about the story, it takes place in the 70s. I won't reveal any plot twists or anything that I currently know. And it's a Hispanic maid who lives in the house of Caucasians. I don't really know much of their backstory. Everyone speaks Spanish. It's all subtitled. And it's kind of some of the life things that happen in her life while she's there. And so far it's gotten to kind of a big point about midway through on what is she going to do next. It's real subtle, as you would imagine. You know, slow scenes, lots of visuals. It's all in black and white, so everything looks nice and crisp. You know, nice shadows and lighting, and very, I don't know if I would call it stylish, but very classically played out, or I guess that's the word I want to use. I'm not sure. It kind of like how you would imagine a foreign film would be, and that's good. It's fun. It's actually very refreshing. I kind of wish they would get on with it a bit more. It maybe lingers a little too much. Like, you kind of like this little Hispanic lady. She's sweet and simple, and it's kind of neat seeing her go through her life. But you kind of have this like impending, like, oh god, something bad's gonna happen to her, and I just don't know if I keep on wanting to drag this out kind of feeling that I always kind of get from films like this. But still, I'm only halfway through. But I would recommend it, you know, if you enjoy those kinds of films. A very character-driven film that's very subtle and true to life. And so far, I'm digging it. I'm very interested to see how it ends. But I'm hoping it kind of gets there. Because that's just kind of the problem with some of these movies. Like, the opening shot, you're, like, looking at the ground. And you're just hearing noises of someone like sweeping or washing, and it goes on forever. And I made a note of it. I started keeping notes because there's so many movies we're going to watch. I have to remember something to talk about them when we go through the full review. And I was just like, get on with the movie. Like, I get you're trying to do something stylish here, but this is taking a little too long. Let's keep moving.
That's also kind of your boy, Alfonso Cuarón. who also directed Gravity and Biggie favorite, Children of Men.
Oh, he directed that. Oh, you told me that. I forgot about it. Yeah, it's definitely not Children of Men, but that's okay. It is a good film. I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on it too much. You know, we'll go through the whole spiel the week before the nominations happen, or the Oscars happen. And but so far, check it out. I mean, you look at the picture, you know what you're getting into, and I gotta say, it so far has not exceeded, but it has risen slightly above my expectations. And I kind of, how things are going, I expected it to just get better.
You know what we should have done, Biggie?
Was it, man?
I don't know why we didn't even think of doing this, is we should have picked 2 of the nominees to watch that week and then talk about them on the show, because now I've watched A Star Is Born and Bohemian Rhapsody, and you're watching Roma, and you're probably going to watch something else. So we're talking about 4 different movies.
Oh, man, we should do that. Let's do that next week. You think we got enough time? Oh, wait.
Yeah, they're not until February 19th or something.
Let's do that then. We'll coordinate how we're playing on the fly, listener. For the next couple of weeks, we'll have our Oscar week, and we'll cover 4 of the movies. Okay, I like it. I guess we'll find out next week if this actually happens or not. So stay tuned.
Let's pick 2 movies right now so that they can try and watch them.
Let's see. Let me go ahead and pull up a list here. You go ahead and nominate 2 films, and then I'll nominate 2 films. Okay,
and then what? We fight? I was saying we just do 2 films. Can you watch 2 films in a week? And then
you're right. Yeah, we're gonna watch 2 films. Hold on, let me pull up the Oscar nominations. Sorry. Okay, I got them pulled up here. So let's see. All right, then you pick one and I'll pick one, and we'll watch them and talk about them.
All right. Since I've already seen it, I'll nominate A Star Is Born.
All right, then. I'm going to go ahead and nominate The Green Book.
Okay.
That's kind of the one I'm really, other than Roma, I'm kind of interested in it. I don't know anything about it, and maybe that's why. This favorite looks kind of terrible.
It's made by the guy that made The Lobster.
Oh, God, it's going to be terrible.
Or
all
lady?
right, we'll save that.
If it was a man or a woman.
Sounds good, then. Then we'll do The Green Book and A Star Is Born next week. That sounds like a fun time. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Man, this director of The Favorite and The Lobster, he sounds like a villain. His name is Yorgos Lanthimos.
Holy moly.
Sounds like a Harry Potter character.
Or a spell. Yorgos Lanthimos. Make a depressing and not interesting film. That's your spell. Well, I watched another movie, and it's called Aquaman. And we had a very interesting discussion. I guess kind of almost going back to our Oscar one, because I don't think we're going to watch Black Panther again. We have an episode for Black Panther. Go check it out. We've
talked about it more needs to be said too.
Oh yeah, it's kind of beating a dead horse at this point. But I will say, Aquaman is okay. It's very, very okay movie. It's exactly what it looks like. The CGI, I thought at first looked really good. Gweedo said it's going to look like shit. He's absolutely right. It looks terrible. But the action and everything's good. I gotta say, the guy who plays Aquaman is kind of charming. Not quite enough to carry a film, but charming enough. And it was much better than, I would say, either, I don't know which one's vying for the bottom, either Suicide Squad or Justice League, but it's not even, I wouldn't call it close to the bottom there. It's actually a decent film. But honestly, since Black Panther's been nominated for Best Picture, I have to say it's almost on par with Black Panther for me in overall, like, storytelling. Like, it's, neither one's really great. They're both about in the same ballpark. The story itself is actually kind of similar in some places. And even the CGI.
We don't want them in
Black
Atlantis and taking our technology. Is that it?
No, it kind of it was similar. More so the Aquaman kind of kills Mantis's dad. I guess he goes by Mantis. I can't remember. I just watched the film and I don't remember most of it. And so he kind of has this like revenge, like, you killed my father. And then there's this other part where it's like his half brother's like, no, Atlantis is mine. So it's like all these kind of themes that Black Panther had with family and you know, situations that put your family at odds with each other and, you know, rights to the throne and all that crap. The technology does play a role in that he's trying to stop war between the people who live on the surface and people who live below. That whole thing. So lots of similarities. A city hidden in the water, a city hidden in plain sight in the jungle, all this stuff. And honestly, I would definitely say Black Panther is overall a little more interesting. But if we're already going to say Black Panther deserves an Oscar, that I don't see why it would be crazy to say Aquaman doesn't, or wouldn't be like a step or two below that. And even looking at the films that we have here, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. And I think watching Aquaman made me realize that even more, that it's still, Black Panther is in that ballpark.
Look, those other nominees, the nominees this year are... It's ridiculous. It's a grasp to get a larger audience to watch the awards ceremony. And
absolutely,
the only ones that have a chance of winning, and you can mark my words, it's going to be Roma, A Star is Born, or The Favorite. That's going to win Best Picture.
I agree. And honestly, I would say it would be cool if Black Klansman did win. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm at least interested in the subject matter, and it's kind of a fascinating film to be made today. But I would agree with you. I feel Roma probably has it. I think it's just, there's been a lot of discussion about the film and how, you know, how it's shot, how the story is and all that stuff. I guess that's why I'm like really looking forward to the Green Book, because that's just one I don't know anything about and just looks kind of interesting. And maybe it could be at that level, but I think like Roma, I mentioned it in the chat. There's a scene there's a scene in the film, and it has no relation to anything else. Well, kind of does, barely. It's this Hispanic guy. He's naked in his room. He gets a pole from his shower curtain that, you know, holds the shower curtain up, and starts doing this samurai kata all around the room. It's like raining outside, and he's just like super into it. And I'm like, this is exactly what like the Oscar voting people just like get off to. Like, sure. It has everything, just this scene alone. And it just makes me feel like that film, just from how interesting it is, and yet still kind of homey in its own way, in that, you know, it's not a fantastical story by any means. Like, that's got it. That makes me think like Moonlight. You know, that's what Moonlight had.
That scene was stolen from me after I watched Jackie Chan movies.
Oh boy. That's fascinating. That's very interesting. Which Jackie Chan film?
Any one of them. Probably Crime Story.
Okay. Do you normally like to have it on and then act out your favorite scenes naked?
Yeah. I wake up and 2 hours earlier than I need to watch the movie, and then I do a 20-minute routine before I hop in the shower and go to work. Every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I've been doing that for years. I've seen Crime Story probably about 2,583 times.
Wow, that is impressive.
Thanks.
All right, no problem.
Wait,
man.
hold
My
on.
pleasure.
Aquaman. Back to Aquaman. Can we talk about Jason Momoa for a second?
Please.
Because I don't understand how this guy went from being on Game of Thrones, fucking what? It's 2019, Game of Thrones first season. He dies in, spoiler, that came out in 2011. So 8 years. He was in Game of Thrones 8 years ago. And then smash cut to today, and he's Aquaman. And that's all he's done. That's all he's done.
I didn't know he was in Game of Thrones. Did he play the mountain guy, or the one that like has Desiree and fucks her and stuff?
Desiree. Okay, see, if you don't watch a show, Biggie, you get yourself into trouble here. You can't just guess names and scenes and stuff if you don't watch the show.
I read the books. I'm just trying to remember. Is it not Desiree?
No, it's definitely not Desiree. She's not a fucking black stripper from Cincinnati.
Carl Dogo.
I believe it's Carl Drago.
Carl Drago. Oh, is that it? Okay.
He fights Rocky in the next Creed movie or something.
For real, am I close?
It's Khal Drago. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Pretty close.
Hey, not bad. All right.
The leader of the Dothraki. I believe I'm saying that right.
That's right. He fucks her in the ass.
Yes, in the book.
Yeah,
he does not. Not in
the show.
There's no anal penetration in the show, to my knowledge.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, Jason
they made that
Momoa,
very explicit.
He just popped up. Like, why? Why him? How did he go from Game of Thrones to Aquaman with nothing in between, except being Aquaman in DC movies? Like, how? Why were they like, that's the guy? It had to be based purely on look, because when he played Khal Drago in Game of Thrones, he wasn't a fucking force to be reckoned with in the acting department.
Right. That's a good question. Especially like he first of all, he looks nothing like Aquaman or classic Aquaman. So they were already, did they just like look at him and be like, we want to make Aquaman look like that guy? Or were they talked to him and they were just like, yeah, you'd be great as Aquaman? Or they just didn't care, or they already had someone drawn up for Aquaman. He's going to be like a biker dude, and they just picked him because he's probably cheap, and it seems like he's a decent actor.
That's got to be it. It's because he's cheap, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. You imagine, like, I mean, the people you're paying, well, you really have one person you're paying big bucks to, and that's Ben Affleck. It was Ben Affleck, right?
Right.
No, Matt Damon.
Who's not even part of it. No.
Which?
Ben Affleck was Batman.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, because that's where he first showed up, was there. And then, it's even better now that he has his own films, and he's probably not getting paid much more since Justice League kind of bombed a little. But yeah, it must have just been priced, and he was available. And it works. At the very end of the film, he's like wearing like the classic Aquaman, like get up, the gold, and the green pants and all that shit. And it looks so weird. That was probably the part of the film that I was most interested in, because it was like, why did you even include this? Because he looked so much cooler before, and now he looks extremely lame. But it's just like maybe they just had to have that look for whatever reason.
You got to wear the costume.
I guess you got to. And the final fight scene was pretty interesting. But I think that's just kind of it. He's kind of a charming guy. He can't carry the film on his own. He's got to have so many side characters who are just coming in and being like, no, Aquaman, you can't do that. That's crazy. Or being like, oh, Aquaman, you're so sweet and nice, when he's just kind of just grunting and saying one-liners. It's like they have to have everyone else kind of act for him, because even though he's charming, he's kind of one note. And that's just not, it's not enough. But especially to carry a whole film, it's okay if it's Justice League. But, it's fine. Black Panther's fine. They're all fine. It's just, I would say if you're going to throw Black Panther in there, you might as well throw Aquaman and all of those in there as well. And, because they're all in the same caliber. Roma is 1 billion times better than all those films. And I'm sure the rest of them on that list are as well. except for maybe Bohemian Rhapsody. We'll find out about that one. But yeah, that's Aquaman. You know, fuck it.
Fuck it, bro. Warner Brothers, get your shit in order.
Warner Brothers is nah. That's a whole other topic. Well, you know what? We don't really have anything else to talk about, so let's just end this thing. Well,
all right,
guys,
so we're watching A Star is Born and Green Room before next week, right?
We will hit that's right. We're going to watch those next week for the next couple weeks until we run out or Oscars happen. We're going to be watching 2 films. So, you know, go ahead and, hop into the Just Okay Gamers chat room and Discord for movies and stuff. We've been chatting about movies. Gweedo's keeping a list of his favorites. You know, it's going to probably be active for the next couple weeks until Oscars happen. It normally is. So definitely hop on there, discord.gg/justokgamers. And we may even, if some of the films are available to rent, we may even do a screening or 2. It could happen. Sure. Just hop on there and find out. Yeah. Also, if you want to share any of your thoughts on any film we've talked about, or including the Oscar films, send us an email to justokmovies@gmail.com. Hey, also shoot some ideas about my PodRoulette idea. I want to hear your thoughts on that as well. There's something there. There is something there, and I want to figure it out.
Yeah,
also,
I'm with you. 100%.
Thank you. You are too kind, sir. Also, send us a tweet at JustOkMovie. So, Gweedo, it's been a fun, nice, simple conversation, but it's always wonderful, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
And you all take care and have a good rest of your evening. Take care.
Bye-bye.